Hello all, it is that pain again, me again with another video, and today we are looking at some tower defenses. I will have one more video of just tower defenses and such after this one. So honestly, I can't remember completely, but this was day 2 or day 3, and they had built, we were sitting on helipad. We had, I think, only a few towers around our helipad just so people could spread around, and basically we just turtled up and took, honestly, I would say extremely good trades. And these guys ended up building up and I guess trying to challenge our towers, but I already had Bing over here and then someone else teleported in. And honestly, they didn't have a rally or anything, so holding the swarm was actually extremely easy and the trades were much better because they didn't have really a rally tanking the main majority of the damage. And honestly, I think that we did pretty good holding on here, especially because they caught us off guard. I think a lot of our players just weren't expecting the build or they just weren't paying attention. So luckily we did kind of hold this for long enough to let people pour it in. And honestly, the trades were absolutely just disgusting here because, I mean, dude, swarming in general is never easy. I mean, like, unless you're a whale, the losses are painful. But then it's also like if you're not sending a rally to tank the main majority of the damage, it is painful, man. And I mean, obviously some people can still trade positive in some situations, but trading positive in this case was much harder. And of course they swapped Garrison captains to someone stronger soon after, the swarm started. So the reports probably would have been better with a better Garrison captain, though of course, it's not like the captain was weak either. I will say this was honestly pretty fun. I think we, just had some really good reports here, and honestly, we were holding for, I think it was either on the second day or the third day, but we were holding for, I think, a full night, and I stayed up until I think 5 o'clock just holding towers with ults. And I tried to avoid using my main because basically what we did was we had tier 4 or even tier 5 players, just holding towers down, kind of reinforcing these, and our tier 6 players would preserve their troops, rightfully so, because you don't want your whales, your actual fighters who are able to, I guess, jump on the field to kind of drain out too fast, because you obviously want these guys brawling as much as possible on the field and being the ones who clear, because you don't want them to have zero troops by the end of this. So obviously, we preserved our troops. We had our smaller players, aka tier 5 or even tier 4 troops, kind of filling towers. So honestly, the trades are better if you consider the fact that it is just tier 4. Especially a lot of these rallies where they had a lot of tier 6 in them, meaning that, off the bat, I feel like we should have traded worse. But the thing is, these guys are obviously having to travel through our, very, very enemy like territory, and a lot of these players are getting their marches kind of cut in half on the way, or they're getting totally slammed. So it kind of forces a lot of HMB whales to patrol the field and try to actually guard the reinforcements as they make their way. And not only is this just annoying as a task, they have to actually kind of guard these troops, and we're able to just cut like a lot of their troops down, kind of inflict injuries on their smaller players. This is also just a hassle to a lot of the whales when you really consider that they're spending hours waddling around the field trying to protect marches, and they don't really have a choice but to protect marches. So honestly, this was a really annoying task, I'm sure, to actually handle. I will say, I think our whales were just like, any of our tier 6 players were kind of drained, and we lose in the number of like whales in the field who can kind of maintain. So I think we kind of had to push in little bunches, or we had to take advantage of small amounts of people, because if we caught, for example, Envy alone swarming a tower, we obviously saw easy picks there and we would go run at it, right? Because obviously if his marches are, let's say, half, we can easily run in, get extremely good trades. And I think that's why you see people like just Whiskey or Hands or something kind of guarding the field while Envy goes for swarms, and that kind of makes it obviously hard to push them off. They got too many freaking whales over here, and they were guarding, they were rallying, I think, 2 towers at once. At times they were swarming both towers, and I think their plan was to kind of drain us out and force us to let one of the towers burn, but we managed to hold both towers, and that honestly, I think, just made them kind of drain out. Like, their whales just found it pointless to keep swarming. The trades were probably just too bad to keep it up, and from just what I'm guessing, they just gave up for the next few days. until we started, I guess, backing out of island and then they pushed. But I honestly am really happy with the results. I think this was pretty fun. I was using this as a chance to actually kill off my siege for my main account and even my alts. And I will say I made a mistake. So I don't think that throwing siege in here was a mistake during like swarms, but I had siege in here for rallies and stuff. Obviously if I'm trying to kill off siege, that was perfect. But for a rally, if I'm going 1v1, I don't really want to have, let's say, 300,000 siege in this thing for a duration of hours or something, or not hours, but obviously like an hour long report. That siege is going to be kind of taking an impact on how the report's going to be. I also want to mention that we ended up popping the Garrison expansion, making a lot of these trades better. So I think that they should have actually held off the second they saw that we had 1.8 million troops in these towers at some point. I think they should have backed off, waited for maybe the next day, or waited for even just the Garrison expansion in, because obviously they're trading way worse and they're draining out so fast for just the trades, right? It just didn't make sense, and I felt like it really would have been wise for them to back off and just give the day up. Let us hold these towers for a few more hours. But maybe they just were impatient and they wanted to fight. I don't know. These guys didn't care about how many troops they lost, but I still think that if they were being troop efficient, they should have waited. So I don't know if you guys notice all of these pings on the, like those little pings that kind of have the text markers and stuff, and that's kind of just strategy, right? Obviously, we wanted the tier 4, like I said, in tier 5 troops first in the towers before we actually would sacrifice whales to hold any of this stuff. And obviously, we managed to hold out with only tier 4 and tier 5, thankfully. I mean, a little bit of tier 6 from what I know, but that was just whales being whales and not caring about what troops they lost. And then we also just have that marker saying T6 on the field just to kind of coordinate better and our members just knowing what they're doing, obviously. And I think like small things like that make a big difference, and it's really underestimated how big of a difference that really makes. Also, you see the rally get swarmed. They just didn't have enough people trying to reinforce the rally. And I think you noticed there, by the way, the rally was actually very even on trades, but we obviously lost more troops. And if you guys don't understand, how is that? How do you have more deads or more injuries, right? It's because it was such a big tier difference. These guys just have so many whales filling into like rallies and stuff, whereas we have, only like tier 4 or tier 5 in towers, meaning that although we lose, let's say, 100k troops, 100k T5 might obviously isn't comparable to 100k T6 might, right? So that might clear some stuff for anybody who was looking at the report and was slightly confused. This is also the most troop efficient method to actually kill off T6 for us, as well as even giving our small players I guess a chance to make points, because we do have point requirements and actually a dead requirement. So this is the perfect chance for our players to reach the amount of deads that we need them to reach, because, we're trying to make sure that our guys are fighters or are just kind of proving their worth as, players in the alliance. And I think it's pretty fair, when I don't know. I think it's just fair in general, right? And I mean, obviously, if you're joining a big fighter alliance like this, you should expect these requirements, and you are, kind of getting a good amount of, I guess, gifts and just ways to grow, right? So if you're growing pretty nice here, you should be able to put up numbers. And of course, this only applies to certain mites, and we're not making everybody reach these insane requirements. We just want everybody to give their best and kind of just be active and such. Though, if you guys don't see these reports, this is absolutely gross, man. We traded so well there, and that was a nice report. I love looking at the swarms because I feel like, honestly, I was surprised we traded as well as we did. And I think it's probably because some of the gear on these Garrison captains have actually improved, because I remember looking at reports from even, I think it was like maybe 2 months ago or something, and the trades were so much worse. And obviously, I think Boone was also spread out into too many towers at the time. So obviously Garrison captains were an issue, but in this case, the swarm trades were so much better. Even the rally trades with the swarms were surprisingly way better than I thought they'd be. For example, obviously swarms will debuff the tower as well as buff the rally depending on what heroes you're using. So I expected the rally to actually be trading extremely positive with all these swarms. But honestly, I think the swarms were just extremely like really positive, as well as even the rallies, right? Which was super confusing. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed that those troops just waddling around the tower. You know, they were trying to bait these whales into just waddling around the AOE to try to hit their marches, which was just kind of funny watching it waddle back and forth. Because they were like, "Come and get me, come and get me." But yeah, more tower swarms, man. I don't know how they do it. I honestly could never throw my troops like this at a tower unless I feel like the garrison captain was an absolute doofus and I thought it'd be easy kills. Otherwise, no bueno. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the marches there had gotten like halfway on those towers or just kind of low, and that was the perfect time to jump out. I think that the second those marches swarm for long enough, and if there aren't people around to actually get, kind of help defend, as you see, Hands was actually AFK there. I think Whiskey Dog as well. So it's like the perfect time to take advantage of these swarms. You get these marches to halfway, meaning like let's say 150k troops left in them. You got someone like Red Bull who's also kind of a whale. He can swarm the field, take really good trades, just I don't know, take the best value out of just hitting these marches. But now you got too many whales in the field, so it's just better to hide in the bases, reinforce this tower. And I mean, obviously, going on defensive was the best move we could have made here, since obviously we have the troop death ratio on our side. And I don't think us going offensive really would have worked well. One, I just don't see us having broken out of, kind of making our way out of this. And also, we just would have taken really bad trades. And I think this was just the best method to one, trade as good as possible, as well as just make the best of our bad situations. So, I had honestly a lot of fun. I think these trades were really nice. And, you guys, I always just love trading nights, okay? I honestly couldn't care less if we won or lost. I just wanted to have some good reports here so I could feel satisfied. I felt plenty satisfied going through these logs, but yeah, I think I just blabbed my butt off. But honestly, it's been a fun video for me. It is about to come to an end though. And I think it's just reports, maybe one more tower swarm, I'm not sure. But in my next video, it will be slightly longer, or should be, and it'll just be more tower swarms. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm honestly going to leave it here and just let you guys enjoy the silence for the next 10, 20 seconds. Yeah, you guys have a good day or night though, and I do appreciate you guys for watching as always, and peace out.